Hey guys, Jordan with the Young Turks and TYT Politics. It is Saturday afternoon. I am scrambling around to try to do laundry, to try to get myself ready as I go to Philadelphia tomorrow for the Democratic National Convention. After being at the Republican National Convention for the last week, it would take me more than one video to give you my thoughts on the Republican convention, so I'm not going to bother. It was quite the shit show, as well as quite a horror show in many ways. But more importantly, I want to get into the thousands of emails that were leaked from WikiLeaks. I didn't have a chance to do it yesterday. I was traveling back from Cleveland, then my bag got lost, and then I had to finally bite the bullet and scramble to get to a doctor as I've had a sinus infection for 6 months. But anyway, hold on one second. I'm hearing no sound. Let me boost that up. Let me know if you guys hear sound better now. So I want to get into the WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks on Friday got dropped 20,000 emails from the Democratic National Committee. These were emails from Democratic National Committee communications people. These were emails from Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who is the chairwoman of the Democratic National Committee. And remember, this whole campaign, Bernie Sanders and his campaign were saying that the DNC had rigged the system in favor of Hillary Clinton. Debbie Wasserman Schultz in 2008 was the co-chair of the campaign for Hillary Clinton. So hold on, let me make sure you guys are hearing it. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you're hearing this well, because it really doesn't matter if you can't hear it. I'm going to make sure I have my settings on. You're hearing me here? Okay, so I'm going to keep going and you guys can tell me. So, 20,000 emails were released. This was from Debbie Wasserman Schultz, other communications people at the DNC throughout the campaign. You have Debbie Wasserman Schultz saying things like, Bernie Sanders just doesn't understand what we do at the Democratic Committee. You have other emails where people in the DNC were essentially telling other DNC people to pitch media on stories that would question Bernie Sanders' religion. Before West Virginia and before the Kentucky primaries, trying to pitch the media to do a story on whether he's an atheist, saying that if they could paint him as an atheist, that would hit him in the polls heading into places like West Virginia and Kentucky. You have other things where Debbie Wasserman Schultz, after Mika Brzezinski from MSNBC basically called on her to resign, you had Debbie Wasserman Schultz email Chuck Todd, good old Chuck of Meet the Press, saying, Chuck, this needs to stop, and asking for an apology from Mika Brzezinski. So basically, the collusion that we all know exists between politicians and the media, Debbie Wasserman Schultz directly emailed the MSNBC and Chuck Todd asking for an apology because Mika Brzezinski said she should step down after it was becoming more and more apparent that the DNC had rigged the system for Hillary Clinton. There was other emails where following the Nevada State Convention, which the media and Debbie Wasserman Schultz painted as chaos and made up that Bernie Sanders and his followers were throwing chairs and all sorts of things. Debbie Wasserman Schultz said in an email, Bernie Sanders likes to blame us every time it's shown that they are doing something wrong. As early as May of this year, while there were still several primaries going on, you had Debbie Wasserman Schultz saying Bernie Sanders will never be president. I haven't gone through every email. There's 20,000 of them, but the emails that were released show very, very clear. There was one more that I thought was pretty special. You had DNC basically trying to pitch to the media a anti-Bernie narrative, saying, how can we come up with a narrative that portrays Bernie Sanders' campaign as not having it together? That they're disorganized and all these things. So you have the DNC basically saying we need to create a narrative against Bernie Sanders. This isn't the Republican National Committee creating a narrative against the Democrats, which you would expect. This is the DNC, who's been saying all along, we're a neutral arbiter. We don't support Hillary Clinton. We don't support Bernie Sanders. They are trying to get media to do hit jobs on Bernie Sanders. So what Bernie Sanders was saying along, what I was saying all along, what the Young Turks were saying all along, the system was rigged. They did have their favorite candidate, and they acted all along as essentially PR people trying to spin the media into anti-Bernie Sanders narratives. There was also other emails that deliberately told DNC staffers not to try and push things that might have a pro-Bernie theme to it. Certain columns, certain videos that might come off well for Bernie Sanders. In email, it was said, "Oh, leave this alone. It's got a little bit too much Bernie." So basically, you have Terry Mills says, "How about Political Guy sending them a story to read before the editors?" I haven't seen that yet. I've been running around, like I said, going to a doctor because I have a really bad sinus infection. My baggage was lost, among other things, and I just got back from Cleveland, so I have a little bit more homework to do. I'm just trying to give you guys the real, big ones that I saw. Basically, what this shows is that the DNC all along, these were not neutral arbiters. These were career Democratic operatives who like things the way they are. They like the money that floods into the system to help candidates. They don't like a message from someone like Bernie Sanders, who is saying we need to stop having our oxygen come from big money donors. We need to actually work for the people, not the donors. We need to stop focusing so much on corporations and what the elites need, and maybe start focusing on what working class and low income people need. These are not things that Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the chairwoman, care that much about. And what's really interesting is this confirms what I've been reporting for weeks. You had Guccifer 2.0, who's a hacker. It's not known yet whether he's a Russian hacker, other things. Guccifer was releasing leaks from the DNC that weren't this particular, and he didn't release anything particularly written by Debbie Wasserman Schultz. However, it's being reported that Guccifer gave all these leaks to WikiLeaks. Obviously, WikiLeaks has a much broader reach. So these leaks that WikiLeaks are releasing originated from Guccifer. Maybe move the camera just another inch from your face, my friend. I know I'm not looking so attractive right now. Let me know if that's good. So this confirms a lot of things. I think it's very interesting that you have Debbie Wasserman Schultz so insulted by being asked to step down by MSNBC, basically emailing Chuck Todd and saying, "Chuck, cut it out. Tell your organization to cut it out, goddammit. Stop calling me out on the obvious rigging that I have perpetrated." I also think what's interesting is Debbie Wasserman Schultz, while the primaries are still going on, saying Bernie's never going to be president. This is not a neutral arbiter. This is somebody who did not want Bernie Sanders to become president. This is someone who was condescending to Bernie Sanders. This is someone who, although wasn't at the Nevada State Convention, had no comprehension other than what she was told by other partisan establishment Democrats, was saying, "Oh, Bernie's anytime he does something wrong or his campaign does something wrong, because it's so wrong to have your supporters boo at a convention, he blames me." I think her people, you got to look at it at the end of the day. Any organization like this, when people do wrong, it comes from the top. When staffers of Chris Christie decide to, freeze up a bridge and block a bridge for days, it's coming because they know their boss would be okay with it. So when you have communications staffers at the DNC saying, in writing, what narrative can we create on Bernie Sanders, about how his camp is disorganized, meaning a narrative to feed to the media. When you have communications people at the DNC talking about, before West Virginia and Kentucky, maybe we could muddy the waters on Bernie's atheism. Maybe we could kind of belittle that he's not really that religious. Maybe he's just an atheist. Atheism, many establishment politicians like to pour cold water on atheism and make it out to be the boogeyman, as opposed to, having ordained religion like Christianity or Judaism. The list goes on. And, the emails written by Debbie Wasserman Schultz really portray a politician who is very heavy-handed, who is not neutral, who is favorable to the establishment candidate Hillary Clinton. Now, when you see this in writing, this confirmation that they were not fans of Bernie Sanders, that they were trying to pitch the media on anti-Bernie narratives, Well, maybe, just maybe they set the debate schedule to screw Bernie Sanders. Maybe they only wanted a few debates because, frankly, they knew Hillary Clinton wouldn't be that inspiring of a debater. Maybe, just maybe, they decided to put debates on the Saturday night before Christmas or Sundays or very few in prime time because they didn't want Bernie Sanders to have much exposure. Maybe Debbie Wasserman Schultz went on national television after the Nevada convention and said things that are not true, like chairs were thrown, because she had a very strong motivation to end this primary and to end the insurgency by Bernie Sanders and help Hillary Clinton. Gandhi, I love Jordan. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Gandhi. And I want to make something clear. I'm not coming out on Twitter. I'm not coming out on Facebook as a pro Bernie journalist. Bernie's not going to be the nominee. I'm sorry to tell you. I've been open that I lean towards Bernie this whole time because I don't believe on this nonsense that you can't have an opinion and also report fairly. I think I've proven I do report fairly. I do report the facts. If Bernie did something wrong today, I'd report that too. I just did a video last week criticizing Bernie because he said a lot of things on stage endorsing Hillary Clinton that frankly weren't true. So I'll call out Bernie when it's necessary, whether I like him or not, because I'm a reporter. But this is not just about Bernie. This is about corruption. This is about establishment politics that rig systems to make people think their vote counts. For the media to make people think that they're just doing an accurate job of reporting the news, that they have no vested interest in who the candidate is. This shows that's not true. This shows that a neutral party that set debate rules, that set a lot of the rules for other party functions, was really working on behalf of the establishment candidate. So Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who was the formal co-chair of Hillary Clinton, was essentially her co-chair this year just as the Democratic chairwoman. And frankly, that's disgusting. That's not what that's not what democracy looks like. This is pretty much old school, backroom cigar smoking politics where politicians give you platitudes about, it's your choice this year, and you set the tone, you set history for whoever becomes president, and that's not true. Now, I'm not going to tell you if this stuff didn't happen and Debbie Wasserman Schultz was a saint and there was, many, many debates and they were all in prime time at 8 o'clock, if Bernie Sanders would have won. I don't know. I really don't know. I think it would have been more competitive, but I don't know. But I got to tell you, when you read emails from Debbie Wasserman Schultz saying, Bernie Sanders, he just doesn't understand what we do. You know what that's code for? He doesn't understand that it's all about the money, Lebowski. He doesn't understand that all this revolution talk and all this nonsense, he's living in an alternate reality. That's not what we do. That's not what politics is about. We're here to win elections. We're here to stay in power. We're here to feed our masters, the donors. I don't agree with Donald Trump on many things, but I'll tell you what, he is right. Hillary Clinton, the Democrats, they are puppets. So are the Republicans. They're all puppets. That's why Bernie Sanders took off the way he did, because he was providing a message. I'm here, what a concept, for you. I'm not here to become famous. I'm not here to be, a powerful and the most legendary president of all time. I want to help struggling people. I want to help the millions of people who have been conned by Republican and Democratic politicians, telling them that, this is all about the middle class and we're here fighting for the working class, when policy after policy only helps the wealthy, only helps the corporations, only helps the Chamber of Commerce. I could go on. So I'm going to sort through many more of these leaks. I got some laundry to do. I got some other things to do before I go to Philadelphia. I'll be tweeting out more as I find even more questionable emails. You could go to my Twitter right now, because I've been tweeting about this since yesterday. I have screenshots of many of the emails. I would say my top 3 emails so far that I found disgusting. One was essentially a DNC communications staffer asking whether we should pitch media to, belittle Bernie Sanders' religion and try to question whether he's really an atheist versus a Jew. I also think it's pretty gross when the Democratic chairwoman emails a TV news anchor. First of all, obviously she has a relationship with MSNBC where she can email Chuck Todd and essentially mandate to him to talk to his colleagues to stop criticizing her and to stop calling her to resign. I don't want to have a relationship with the DNC. I don't want them emailing me asking me to tell Cenk to stop doing something. And call me old-fashioned, but where I come from, I don't want to be friends with the DNC, the RNC. Yeah, I'll say hello to them if I see them in person, but journalists are not supposed to have a cushy relationship with Democratic Party operatives. That's the difference between me and Chuck Todd and all these people who are all about access, all about cocktail parties, all about being, on the top 10 list and politicals, whatever stupid list they have of the year. That's not what journalism's supposed to be about. So the fact that Debbie Wasserman Schultz is emailing Chuck Todd, subject line Chuck, this has to stop, telling Chuck to essentially tell Mika Brzezinski to cut it out when Mika Brzezinski said she should really resign. That's scary, because I think that begs more questions about what type of relationship the DNC has with our media and MSNBC. Is Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the DNC pulling the strings of what MSNBC covers or doesn't cover? I could tell you, I worked there. I worked at MSNBC. I worked at Fox. So I know that they are in contact. I know that Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the DNC and political organizations as a whole are in communication with producers and executives. And I know that those producers and executives then set certain editorial viewpoints, certain stories, certain segments, and the direction of where they're going to go in the day based on that. That's not journalism. That's propaganda, folks. So I hope that you guys know. I know a lot of people have been questioning, well, the Young Turks is falling in line and yada, yada, yada. I don't think that. I think that the Young Turks, including myself, the main show, I think, covers a lot of the politics and a lot of what's going on at the conventions and these things. And my job is to report and expose corruption. And that's what I've been trying to do all along. Cenk has never once said to me, you need to tone it down. If he told me to tone it down, I probably wouldn't be at the company. That's why I came down. That's why I came to the Young Turks. I'm not looking to make friends. I'm not looking to, be in this for 40 years as a journalist if it means, frankly, I got to suck dick and, play the game. I'd rather do it right one time, and if nobody wants me because I'm too aggressive, then so be it. I'll go do something else. But to me, it's not worth being a journalist if you're here to make friends, if you're here to get invited to the cocktail parties, if you're here to get all the promotions up to executive editor and host and these things, because in most cases the way you do that is by playing the game, not ruffling feathers, breaking a story here and there that seems aggressive but is really, it was leaked to you because you've done favors for them before. I'm not interested. I'd rather go, sell something in the mall. So I'll be going more through the emails. Follow my Twitter. Of course, follow youtube.com/TYT-Politics. My colleague Emma Vigland, who's been interning this summer and is awesome, she started this off yesterday as I was not available. She did a great video on the WikiLeaks about the DNC. This will be going up on youtube.com/TYT-Politics. Peter, does this change anything concerning the Democratic Convention or no? It doesn't change whether Hillary Clinton is the nominee. She will be the nominee. But it does change, I think, if protests were going to be kind of a little bit loud, I think you're going to see a lot louder protests. I'm not worrying about violence because I think progressives by nature want to make their point, but we're not interested in violence. But I think you might have a chaotic scene out there. I think a lot of Bernie Sanders progressives, if they already knew that this system was rigged against Bernie, then this confirms it. And, this is personal for a lot of people. I know a lot of people, they didn't just vote for Bernie Sanders. They volunteered for Bernie Sanders for a year. They donated money that, frankly, they didn't have this disposable money to keep donating to Bernie Sanders. Hey, they gave him money. They gave him their time. They gave him their energy. They gave him their money. And what it looks like now, what did you have? You had a system stacked against them and a Democratic Party just essentially condescending and laughing. Oh, look at that Bernie Sanders and his followers. They don't understand what we do here. So I think you're going to have, I'm not begging for problems or chaos, but I think you might have some issues. I think you might have some problems because I'm reporting on this. I've seen other digital sites report on this. I don't know if it was in response to me or not, but I tweeted at CNN's Jake Tapper and asked him, hey, when are you guys going to report on this? He says he'll be reporting on this on his show Sunday morning. I'll believe it when I see it. I also don't know the angle he's going to report on it. You know, it's not enough just to report on it. Let's see which emails he points out. Let's see if CNN actually focuses on the fact that these emails show they weren't just, not fond of Bernie Sanders. They actively were trying to push the media to do bad stories on Bernie Sanders. But also, let's be real. If this came out during the primary, let's say in April or May, you think the media would focus on it? Hell no. They're only focusing on it now because it's too late. Technically, it's not too late. Technically, superdelegates could still switch to Bernie Sanders, but they really have no incentive to. They could say, oh, she won the popular vote, she won the most pledged delegates, yada, yada, yada. So I don't think anything's going to change in terms of whether she will be the nominee, but I think you might see a lot more anger on that floor. I think you might see a lot more anger outside those doors. We'll obviously be there to cover as much as we humanly can. And I also don't think it's going to help Hillary Clinton because I think between outside and inside, it's not going to look like a unified party just picking flowers together and having some tea and cake. I think if there was any chance on that happening, this ends that. So I encourage all of you to read through as many of the emails from WikiLeaks as you could stomach. That's my job, so I'll be doing that throughout the day. And I think really what needs to be done is everybody needs to be on social media. Everybody that is going to be at the convention needs to make their voices known. I'm not calling on people to be destructive or to be violent or anything like that. But hey, these leaks show one thing: these people took you for granted. They were basically laughing at you, and they were working against you the whole time. And I don't think bad behavior like that deserves to be rewarded by unifying around a party. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm not going to tell you whether to vote for Hillary Clinton. I'm not going to tell you to vote for Donald Trump. I'm not going to tell you whether to vote for the third party candidate. That's not my job. I am a believer. People fought and died for our right to vote. So you should vote. You should vote for who you think is best for you now and your future. I do see, after covering the Republican Party, I do see what a threat Donald Trump is. To tell you the truth, a lot of this time, I thought Donald Trump was full of it. I thought Donald Trump was just blowing smoke out of his ass. I didn't think he really believed a lot of the things he was saying. I just thought he was playing to the lunatics, and as soon as he got the lunatics, he was going to kind of pull back. I was wrong. I got to admit, listening to his speech, it sounds like a real autocratic dictator to me. And I think the thought of Donald Trump becoming president really does scare the shit out of me. I'm not going to lie to you. I think that he's a loose cannon. I think that if he was faking it, but he's assumed the role. I think he really believes in this law and order nonsense. I think he really believes when he says we need to be nationalists, not globalists. That's coded language for get the immigrants out. So I don't want to diminish. Donald Trump as president is not a good option. So I'm going to leave you with that. Now, if that means you have to vote for Hillary Clinton to stop him, I don't know that. I don't believe in voting for the lesser of two evils. I think if you keep doing that, you're never going to get real change. So I think you really have to question to yourself, what is worse to you? A corporate shill or a quasi-fascist? And that's up to you. I live in New York. New York is probably going to go to Hillary Clinton, so I have a little bit more liberty, not coming from somewhere that is not a swing state, to really vote my conscience. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. Frankly, I probably wouldn't tell you because I think as a reporter, I don't want to cross certain lines. I don't know who I'm going to vote for. I don't know if I'll even tell you. It's not to be secretive. That's just how I feel. But in the end of the day, I think you really need to ask for yourself, do you feel Donald Trump is as big a threat as the media is telling you and what you hear in your own ears? Or do you think Hillary Clinton is a bigger threat? I respect people's decisions. I respect people's opinions. Obviously, people on the Young Turks have disagreed quite a bit on this. So it's really your own personal decision. Anyway, stay tuned for more. I encourage you, if you haven't, subscribe at youtube.com/TYTpolitics.